Happened in the 90's.
Tough day, huh, kiddo?
We're doing fractions and math. And Gracie Gibson kissed me on the playground in front of everybody.
Yuck. Sounds like you need a bedtime story.
Mom.
Car chases?
Cool.
When your day needs a little turnaround, Blockbuster has 9,000 ways to make it a blockbuster night.
How about another story?
Yeah, I got one. With boys kissing girls.
How dare you, Steve? How dare you disrespect the brand of Perrysburg High School like that?
Man, you already. Oh, well, that's another one. Even more so than Fremont. Any chance I get, I slither, slot, or whatever to shit on that town locale of Perrysburg. Because why? Because fuck Perrysburg forever and always. Eternally.
Bro, what about Mr. Freeze, Steve? What about Mr. Freeze? What about Ralphie's? What about Frickers?
Man, it ain't that serious. It ain't that serious, bro. It ain't that. Man, you could get good ice cream at a lot of places. You can eat good burgers, good sports bars at a lot of places. Yeah, we've had some good times in Perrysburg, but overall, as a whole, as a total, fuck Perrysburg. That's my motto.
Steve,
I am
going in hard. I mean, I'm more. This is relaxed, Matt. Today, everyone. Steve, first of all, before we start going heavy into the Perrysburg hatred, go ahead and introduce everything real quick.
Man, well, you already know it's Steve and Matt G. What happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about things that happened in the 90s. And so get out your ecto cooler high C's and your CD-ROMs, because sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name.
Dun, dun.
And we're always glad you came. Doom, doom. You want to come to a podcast with Matthew and Steve and G. You want to come to Happen in the 90s.
Steve, that's one of the, I mean, episode 7, bro, that's the best intro we've done thus far. Congratulations to you. Congratulations and salute to you, because that was next level.
Salute, man.
Saying shit. But back to his shitting on Perrysburg, Ohio. Yeah, it's not a great spot. You know, I feel like we could have done worse, but in terms of me wanting to go back to Perrysburg, Ohio, I mean, there's maybe 5 people I can think of, and that's it. But the place in and of itself, no. I don't need to go to Cracker Barrel. I can go to that out here. I can feel uncomfortable out here in a Cracker Barrel. You know, it's, dude, here's something I remember from hanging out with you. Do you remember felt like going to a Denny's and feeling like it was racist at one point? I feel like we went and you almost went off on Denny's employees. It was Rossford Denny's, bro. Rossford, Ohio, an even bigger shithole than Perrysburg, Ohio, but we're not really splitting hairs at this point. You don't remember that?
I mean,
Steve,
it's highly likely. I mean, especially if it
made
was
me
like
not like
Rossford.
Denny's. And as a fat man, it sucks when you feel a little shitty about going to a Denny's. But I agree with
That
what
was
happened.
painful.
You went off.
Please tell me.
Went off. I think you just were like, after we left, we're like, you know what? Fuck that place. And I don't even remember why. I just remember that moment. So there you go.
I need, because I'm like, man, I need context. I mean, it's not far-fetched because, like I said, if it's a Denny's and it was Perrysburg / Rossford, so it's highly likely.
I mean, Rossford, Ohio, what goes down there now? Is it just one big meth lab, or are there different ones situated in between actual city blocks? You know, I don't know.
You know, since they've been expanding with Perrysburg, they've gotten to the point where they're taking some of that to Rossford, so they're starting to build there, so where
Oh,
it's not all just fucking trees and road.
they're dude. Fuck that. Okay, okay. Let's get into other things other than Perrysburg because I could go for days. If we want to shit on individuals,
Yeah,
I
so
don't know how deep we want to go here, but we've already shit on the school
well,
system
I mean,
multiple times on this podcast. So let that be known. Steve and Matt are not fans of the Perrysburg scholastic system that they had, or at least that we experienced. So as a whole, big fu to
yeah.
them. But did I love or did I love Ralphie's? All my great experiences there were as a fat child eating food. So I can eat good food anywhere. So I agree with you in that regard.
Man, fuck Perrysburg. Now, in 1992, Vince Neil leaves Motley Crue after 11 years as the band lead singer to spend more time on his career as a racing car driver. This was on February 18th, 1992.
That's why
I
he
remember
left.
them being yeah, so he can get into his racing. Turn left,
That,
Vance.
real, that really
Vance,
panned
turn
out
left.
for him. What the only
Yeah,
thing that guy's racing now
I
is
mean,
against the time against time on this earth, dude. Every time I see him, he gets more bloated.
well,
Sorry,
didn't
Vince.
one of those guys like actually die and come back to life?
Probably. He might have. I mean, if Nick, here's the thing: if Nikki Six isn't dead, I mean, I don't know what anybody else should complain about. Vince Neil, I think he just needs to work out and he'd be fine, But he doesn't look like now. He looks like Greg the Hammer Valentine.
He, he looks like a middle-aged lesbian phys ed teacher.
And when I say he looks like Greg the Hammer Valentine, I'm not speaking of when, like in the 90s. I
Of
mean, he
course
looks like
not.
Greg the Hammer Valentine now. Whatever he met is
No,
dead.
an overcooked brat with a wig on.
It's like when you boil a hot dog too long and it splits. That's what Neil Young or Neil whatever looks like.
Neil
Oh,
Young,
hot
Vince Neil
takes
Young,
today, Steve. Hot takes today.
Vince Young. When he wasn't winning championships for Texas as the quarterback, he was race car driving and leading a hair band in the 80s. It was all that cocaine that led him to success at UT.
Hey man, but he killed it on the Titans, dude. He was killing it on the Titans. I, you
Yeah.
know, salute to both those
With,
gentlemen. And I'm sorry for the mix.
with his coach Alex Mack, or no, Mac Brown. Coach Alex Mack Brown. It's their secret,
It's a
and we're on
90s
to them.
mashup, y'all.
You see, Vince Young was really doing coke. He was a whole nother person. So Mac Brown really is Doc Brown. And they got the DeLorean and they went back to 1984 and they led a band called Motley Crue. You see, they did all this cocaine and they was collaborating, talking about, yeah, in the 2000s, you're gonna come back, but you're gonna be a 6'3" black man, and you're gonna be one of the best, man. And you're gonna beat USC in the national championship. And
And
then
that,
you
and
gonna get
maybe it'll go okay for you in the pros, but you still gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay financially. So either
yeah,
way,
Vince, we're on to you. Yeah, we see.
I see. I figured it. We just
We own
figured this
it.
out, Steve. I didn't even realize I figured it out until you pointed it out. So that's how deep this conspiracy is.
Vince Neil Young and Doc Alex Mack Brown. Yeah, we got you.
You sons of
Yep.
bitches.
Don't add us. Now,
Just real quick, apologize to both those gentlemen for that mix of very, hot takes being thrown around. Did not mean to involve Vince Young in that in any way possible. So sorry about that, Vince.
Do we included like 6 people? That's like that's Christopher Lloyd character. That's Alex Mack, a Nickelodeon show. Vince Young, Vince Neil, Mac Brown. Who do we leave out?
Steve, do you want to hear a sad story about Alex Mack?
It's Monday. Why
It's
not?
not really sad, but it just shows you sometimes the levels that of stardom. Sometimes there was a Alex Mack. This was a couple years ago. This was not too far back. My wife and I were house sitting for someone near Universal Studios Hollywood, and in the front of Universal Studios is like it's called City Walk, so it's just like a bunch of restaurants and common areas. You don't have to pay to get in, but it's like connected to the park a little bit. So we were close, and lo and behold, there's an Alex Mack reunion happening at City Walk on a given day. So we go, this is perfect. My wife loves Alex Mack. I was a fan too, I got to say. She turned into a puddle. Her friend was, surprised by that, but not like scared. It was a weird show, but I enjoyed it. Well, we show up to the reunion, and Steve, what do you think the turnout was?
It was just 3 of y'all.
Well,
all 3 of y'all.
See, no, there were more than 3, but Steve, I'd say there were 10 real fans, and these fans were such big fans that the actors who portray, like Alex Mack was there. The friend was there. I believe the mom and dad were there, and some other people. And like there was high level people involved with this show at this thing, but there was 10 fans. Me and my wife just stood back. I think we actually got an autograph or a picture or something. But yeah, the 10 fans had like memorabilia. Like they clearly knew each other already. They were like those I think we're alone now type fans that were just fixated and maybe stalkerish towards the actress. It was very weird. It was very weird because I was in my head when I heard there was a reunion. I was like you, maybe 5 people are going to show up, including us, and then I'm going to feel weird.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to like say anything because I don't even remember the show that much. But yeah, it was kind of strange. It was strange to see. I've seen that a couple times out here. You go to like a reunion or something, there's like 3 people there. It's like, ooh, maybe you guys should have checked the numbers first before you made this guy show up to this.
Yeah, did they have security?
I mean, it was like Universal. I actually used to work at Universal Studios Hollywood. Inside information, Steve. They actually have like security themselves. So I think it was just like park security. So like 5
no pistols.
40-year-old women in Securitas uniforms protecting these people. But there was like a barrier because I think they were actually, somebody involved in Alex Mack fan club or some shit. They were filming it in some way. So there was like a barrier between the people, but there was no need for a barrier. It was like you put 2 beefy women in front of Alex Mack. No one was going to be able to get to her. So the fans were not the type to be able to physically exert anything to like get towards Alex Mack. It was like, and I am not shitting on this people, but like one guy was in like a wheelchair with like the straw, like the Christopher Reeves type shit. It was like older fans, but like, like people they'd clearly met through a bunch of like signings and shit. So yeah, it was not like if, fucking Justin Bieber showed up and that place would be filled up. There was like 5 people there. It was like if I'm filming a documentary about the reunion, I wouldn't have used the footage unless it was close up of them having like one-on-one interactions. It was weird.
Well, I remember the girl being cute, man. How did she turn out? How
she still looks great. She still looks like Alex Mack. She just, looks like her mom's age. And, you remember her mom was in the show too. So it was just like, if they did a reboot, she'd be playing the mom or some shit. But she still looked great. And Salute, because she's, a white woman, usually they get up into their 40s like that, and she's been off air. You never know. Some people that were on like Baywatch, you look up Yasmin Bleeth now, shit's scary. So, never, it's not always guaranteed that those Nickelodeon stars are going to turn out, looking solid in their older age. You never know. So salute to Alex Mack. I mean, she's still trying.
Yeah, man.
Go. Her friend was on a
lot.
bunch of shit. The black dude, he was on a bunch of shit, and he was there, killing it. He was entertaining the 5 people there, telling jokes and shit. It was great.
Right on. You had to be. I mean, there were only 4 or 5 people in the main cast.
Yeah, I feel like if I remember right, it was her, the black dude. I don't think because she had like an older sister, and maybe her older sister was there too. But there was like, I think her parents were there, she was there, and definitely her friend was there. And I can't remember if the older sister was there too. But, great place to do it, because no matter, I guess if I'm thinking about it now, what a great idea to do it in like the opening to a theme park, where if you're shooting a documentary and you want it to look like people showed up. I mean, there was like a Hard Rock Cafe in the background, so it's just like the patrons of the restaurant look like they're in your document, like the crowd of your documentary, basically. But sometimes it's not all glitz and glam for the SNCC alums. Phil Lamar is not, or Phil Maher or whatever is not out there. What's the Nick Arcade guy's name, Steve?
I think that was his name, Phil Maher.
Phil Maher, yeah, he's not. I wonder what he's doing now. I hope he's just balling out of control somehow. That's the real
freestyles about these. About these arcade games.
We are about to go.
I don't know if he had these written.
Oh, dude, he just had them in the pipe. We gonna play some Sonic Hedgehog today. Like, it just was just a quick, get them out there, get these kids moving. I wanted to be on that show so badly as a kid. Because my idea was you get to not only play on the show, but like once the show's over, you just get to play all those arcade games. How dope would that be?
Well, we're here with Wanda and Babs, who feel that their zipper bag is fine and will not switch to Gladlock zipper bags.
That's right. Ditto.
Now, Babbo, let's say you hold some of your famous chicken gravy upside down over Wanda's head, sealed in either your bag or the Gladlock bag with the yellow and blue make green seal, so you know the bag is closed. Your bag doesn't have a green seal.
Well, I say let's go for it with our bag. Why switch? Because it's my head. We'll switch to Gladlock.
Good call, Wanda. When it really counts, get Gladlock.
So, yeah. So, Steve, we came in. I know that you didn't want to acknowledge the technical error, but I think it's fun to acknowledge technical errors, because what I think happened is we got so spicy in the intro that we just had the internet cut us off. That's really what happened.
In 1992, on February 18th, when Vince Neil was being the Richard Petty You Ordered Off Wish, the Wayne's World soundtrack was released.
Such a good soundtrack.
Yeah, it was, man. And they said that movie is responsible for the success of Bohemian Rhapsody. It wasn't until that movie was released that, people started digging in the crates and looking for that song. It was already out for like a decade, just about at this point. And nobody was really checking for it. It wasn't considered a classic. It was kind of like, well, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously not the biggest Queen fan as like a child, but I definitely, that movie must have been huge in terms of resurgence of interest in the band and that song. Like you said, that's crazy. But it's a really good soundtrack if I remember. That's another one we were talking about. Tapes, had the tape. Cop that tape over at Ames Superstore back in the 90s. So salute.
And it wasn't just that track. Of course, we had some entries from Cinderella, Bullet Boys, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Black Sabbath. Even Mike Myers and Dana Carvey themselves doing the Wayne's World theme. Tia Carrera, Jimi Hendrix Experience with Foxy Lady, Alice Cooper, Rhino Bucket, Eric Clapton, and Soundgarden.
Can I just say that to Tia Carrera, thank you so much for just filling my heart with joy as a young boy. She was like one of my big crushes when I was a little kid, and she was hot. I'm sure she still is. So salute to a legend of the 90s herself, a queen, Tia Carrera.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! A 90s legend indeed. Word to High School High.
Oh, damn. High School High, a John Lovitz fucking track?
Somewhere out there's a kid crying, show me a consonant. Teach me pi r squared. Minds like thirsty little sponges, just waiting to soak up knowledge.
Now, in 1993, on February 18th, Cheers, they're in their last season, and they're airing the episode The Bar Manager, the Shrink, His Wife, and Her Lover. And it was Lilith that walked in on Frasier and Rebecca as they were about to make love for the first time. All three are shocked at their situation, and Lilith, the most confused, runs off to Cheers to get some answers from Sam as to what's been going on with her husband. Sam and the gang at the bar are equally shocked by Lilith's news, as Lilith was to see it. However, it's not quite as simple for Frasier, who refuses to take Lilith back as easily as she wants. There is still the issue of the Dear John letter she wrote him. Apparently, the letter was written by Dr. Pascal.
This was just a spicy episode of Cheers all around. Very intense, crazy episode of Cheers. First, we got to just go ahead and acknowledge that the theme song probably was more popular than Cheers itself. It's definitely lasted longer.
Oh, yeah.
Love the theme song. Love all the jazz solo intros that the show has when they're going into a new scene or transitioning between scenes. They get a nice little tasty jazz lick in there. Love that.
It's very, I think that might have been an NBC staple, because they did that with the Cosby Show and those little interludes when you do the, what do you call them? The establishment shots.
Yep. You gotta have something in there. You can't just cut. So in the 90s and 80s, you get a jazz fucking expert in there with the sax, and he busts some magic out. So I love the music. I don't know about you. I haven't rewatched this show. I was not a fan of the show. As an adult watching the show now, a show about people who just are in a bar constantly like this. Very sad. It seems like a lot of sad shit was going on at Cheers at the end here. But really the main thing that I took away from this episode, because as you said, Lilith comes back, and where she comes back from is what I guess is, they're calling it an eco-pod. It's an underground hippie ecosystem of some kind, a la Biodome. Is that what we're picturing in your head?
It's some precursor to some shit like Biodome. But before we do that, man, I want to do a preface of the previous episode, because this is a two-parter. This is part two of this. I
didn't watch the previous. I was confused, so thank you.
Yeah, I had to back up a bit and sit my cup down. Tangerine ET, I'm toe down now. But it ain't no stopping, because, all right, before we get carried off. So in the previous episode, we find out that Frasier, his wife, leaves him to go to this eco-pod deal, and it's to be also with another man, Dr. Pascal. Now, she just drops him like a bad habit, and the guys at the bar, they're all feeling sorry for him, and Rebecca included, Miss Rebecca Howe, the manager of the Cheers bar.
Kirstie Alley.
Yeah,
another
Thirsty
queen
Alley.
of the 90s. Yeah, Kirstie.
Yeah, Kirstie acting thirsty.
thirsty alley from the
Yeah.
looks of it, but
So she has the bright idea to throw him a divorcement party, equipped with a stripper, and
I like how this woman's a genius. First off, go ahead.
so her heart's in the right place, and they all get smashed, even Woody at this divorcement party with the stripper. Now she drops him off, she drops Frasier off, and Frasier wastes no time to put the moves on Rebecca. Things heat up, and they prepare to do some Rebecca waka waka and Uchi Coochie la la la. But they get interrupted by the Cheers gang because Sam's like, hey, our buddy, he's just down. His woman left him for another dude to go in some underground eco pod. Let's go bring some beer and some pizza over and cheer him up. So they go there, not realizing Rebecca is still there and she's upstairs. They're about to get it in. And so Sam, Carla, Norm, Cliff, Paul, John, and George, and fucking Ringo all show up to Frasier's Frasier's crib and for a team effort cock block. And they still don't know Rebecca's upstairs. And Frasier, the gentleman that he is, he entertains these uninvited guests and they're there for so long to the point Rebecca falls asleep. They all finally leave, and Rebecca, she comes upstairs and she's falling asleep, and Rebecca hears some noise downstairs and thinks it could be the guys coming back. And Frasier says, "Don't worry," because he deadlocked the door. But lo and behold, her senses were correct when we find out it's Lilith. And this is the beginning of this episode.
Yes.
And that's where we are. Lilith enters the bedroom and she catches Frasier and Rebecca in the act. Cock block mission accomplished.
I mean, full on. I mean, it was right about to happen, you know. They were starting to kiss in. Rebecca's fully into it, which even the guys at Cheers are like, there's no fucking way. They don't think Frasier's got it, which is interesting, again, because we're going to see later, Frasier is unlucky in love and love making, quite honestly. So this is obviously a pattern that's developed, but I got to say, first and foremost, fuck you, Lilith. You just leave Frasier, this cultured man about Boston at this point, psychiatrist, very successful, and you just leave him for this Pascal guy who looks like, I can't think of all the movies this guy's been. Did you ever see the movie Bushwhacked?
I have not.
Damn it. Okay. Well, then this reference means nothing. But he's just a wish.com fucking, he looks like a psychopath. So Lilith left Frasier for this chud, then comes back and gets all butthurt that he's about to get some pee. So I don't understand it. More is revealed about Pascal, where more like Lilith's taste in men is coming into question even more.
Yeah.
You know, also they have a kid, which they reference. You know, he's at the mom's house, but you also just left your kid with Frasier while you went to fuck some guy in an eco pod. Seems real questionable. So that's my take on Lilith at this point. Fuck you, Lilith. You cold-hearted bitch.
We got to let the boys and girls know, disclaimer, this episode is rich in Frasier Crane.
Oh, Steve, I know you see this shirt. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Frasier. I'm a fan of Kelsey Grammer. The man's a legend, so I'm excited.
He's a legend in this game, man. And this is my favorite right here. Where are we going? This is my favorite version of
a bearded Frasier.
Kramer.
See, I didn't like that. I gotta say, he's a little too rough around the edges, Frasier. This is a Frasier that'll whoop your ass. You know,
that's why I like this Frasier Crane, because look, and to give it some more backstory, I didn't watch this show in its original run because it was adults. I was a kid during this run, so if it didn't have black people and if it didn't have kids, it didn't have my interest as a kid.
Why would a kid watch a movie or a show about white barfly alkies? You know, it'd be weird if you did. So even any kid of our age watching it while it was going on and being entertained, I don't want to meet that kid. But
fast forward to 2017, and this Stephen Garrett is now 35. And I'm in Houston, Texas, and Hurricane Harvey has hit us. And so I just got fired from Fox Sports, and I knew that I had to be prepared. So I went to the nearest gas station, stocked up on some snacks, some junk food, and you knew I was going to be cooped up in my apartment for that weekend. It was going to be coming down all weekend. So I was like, you know what? I've never seen the show and I hear about how great it is. And I'm an adult now. I might be able to get some of the innuendo, whatnot. Dude, I like Cheers, Sam Malone. I feel like I was a part of that gang all throughout.
You love it?
All throughout Hurricane Harvey and the aftermath. I stayed in my part. I was good. As long as my electricity didn't go off, I kept my internet was good. And I liked the show. I went through all 11 seasons, man.
Also, what I love about watching these sitcoms of this era and, in the 90s also, when you get a season of these shows, it's like 30 episodes, 20 episodes. When you get a season of a show now, it's like 5 episodes. So
10 tops.
Yeah, 10 maybe. So I love that. I got to say, watching this, I can understand what you're saying about this being a cool show to watch now. I could definitely do it. And I do like Frasier Crane. Like I know where he goes. So like, that's kind of interesting maybe to watch also. Mm-hmm. But this episode was hilarious. And I think it's hilarious that how insane they felt that they could go on storylines, because honestly, when you watch this, little intense, it's crazy as fuck. Honestly, the guy just comes into the bar with a gun from an ecopod demanding justice. I mean, god damn. He shot a guy, Steve. I forgot. He shot a guy in the fucking foot.
Yeah, we're getting too ahead of ourselves.
I'm sorry. God damn. I'm sorry, y'all. I got Frasiered up. I got high on Frasier Crane.
But at this point, Frasier Crane, he's got his beard, and throughout the series, he has the character of a pushover in comparison to the other working class gentlemen here at Cheers Bar. One guy is a retired pitcher in the major leagues. Another guy is a mailman, and here comes this thespian who reads Shakespeare, and so he's always been kind of looked at as a softie, as a mama's boy kind of guy. So when he grows out his beard, he's like, this is a Frasier that's like, I've had enough of the shit, man. And I'm a man at the end of the day, and you're not going to fucking just walk all over me. And this extends to his wife Lilith, who leaves him to go in this ecopod with Dr. Louis Pascal. Now, when she comes back, she catches Frasier and Rebecca in the act, but she speaks her piece and she goes on. She's like, okay, carry on. This hurts, but I'll be leaving. Do what you were gonna do. And then so Lilith goes to the bar and inquires the gang about this and wants to know how long has this been going on with her husband. They had no idea this was going on. And she said that he could have at least had the decency to wait until she was in the ground. How dare you, Hel?
I mean, again, her logic is fucked up. She left. So it was, at that point, I feel like Frasier's in all rights could have just smashed his way through Boston. And he could have. Let's be honest. Guy's got a nice place, got a nice little setup there. So I don't understand the logic. And then also what I found it weird is that like everyone's first instinct was to go to Cheers. If you think about the overall logic of that, like if I can't find you, Steve, I would hope that the first place that I would think to go isn't some fucking bar someplace. Right. I get Boston, it's like a tough place, but goddamn, you would think like maybe a library, maybe his favorite place in the city, not, oh, he's definitely going to be at the bar. Like she literally, that's the first place she goes, and then that's the first place he goes, or one of the first places. So it's very weird.
Well, of course, dude, because like he hunts her, he finds her. That's the first place she goes, and then he hunts her down, of course, because if you weren't at home, at work, or at the game watching one of your Boston sports teams lose in the 90s, you'd be at the bar. You'd probably be at the bar.
Where's my Frasier? But also I gotta say, Lilith though, Frasier really stepped it up. Everyone thinks that Lilith is kind of a hottie, and I guess if you see her all glowed up, she is. But I mean, I'm not a huge Kirstie Alley fan, but it's a huge step up. So congratulations to Frasier on that. And I gotta say one other thing that I forgot about, Steve, and this is where we get into some trouble when we go back and watch shows of these earlier eras, when certain social mores and tableaus were a little less defined. Frasier actually in the episode, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead again, but there's a lot of talk about popping somebody in the mouth, and I should have popped her in the face, and I would have popped her. It's strange. It's very weird to hear that kind of shit just be thrown around like that. I get it from his take. I don't support it, but a man who's just been left, just no. I don't know if there's been an explanation that she gave him as to why she was leaving, or if she's just like, you know what, I'm going down in the ground with my man, and I'm about to go fuck in the eco pod. Peace. I don't know how they left it, but if I'm Frasier, I'm pissed, and he's pissed.
He's pissed, and
He's
he's got
saying
his
some
beard.
crazy shit that I wouldn't say, but again, I understand the anger, and he's displaying it in full effect on this show. I don't think if they did this now, he'd be saying the things that he said. Let's put it that way.
Man, I don't know about that.
Steve, are you gonna pop me if I say anything else? Please don't. Don't pop me.
I feel like that's tame compared to the things that are aired now.
Really? Yeah, you're right. I mean, in some ways, but it's just different. It's like, I guarantee you, if you have like somebody going like, I'm gonna pop you, bitch. It's not gonna, on a comedy, it's just weird. It just seems like it was much more of a commonplace thing to say back then. But again, I'm not judging. I get
One of these days,
so
Lilith.
fuck Lilith.
And she can't go back home. She has no place to sleep. But I like Carla. She was really good for those little
hell yeah
one word or quick retorts. She would say, "I got an attic you can hang upside down in." I like that one. But
also,
but
Lilith, why can't she go to her mother's house where her son is?
Did she explain that?
No. Like, why? I need some money for a hotel, Sam.
Well, she couldn't be with Louis Pascal because she realized that two human beings cannot live together underground. I guess it took her going that far to realize that. Now, when Frasier finds her at the bar, she tries to make a peace offering with Frasier, and she said she was on the bus for the last 3 days to come home. Ooh, wash your coochie.
Yeah, get a bath. She's all dirty too. She's been in an eco pod. Fucking she's got Louis fucking J all over her still. There's no baths.
She was on a bus for 3 days to come home, and she understands that leaving him was hurtful, and she understands him seeking comfort in the arms of another woman. She's willing to forget it as if it never happened. And Frasier says, "So you want me back?" And she says, "Oh yeah, I want you back," and gives him a hug. And then Sam's like, "You hear that, everybody? Frasier and Lilith are back together. Free drinks on the house." And then Frasier says, "Hold up, I haven't taken her back." And then Woody takes, was it Mr. Peterman? Norm? Yeah, takes Norm's drink away from him.
What is Norm's job?
He was
alcoholic.
What did Norm do? I think he was an accountant. Yeah.
Oh wow. All he does in the show is try to avoid his wife and drink. So
and avoid his tab.
Yeah, I mean I find it fucked up that they gave a free beer away, but just based off these weird specifications of why the free beer was given out, they take it away. I mean, that's fucked up. You gave what are you going to put it back? Just give fucking this alcoholic a beer. That guy's halfway. He's got a half foot in a grave already.
Yeah, even Norm's like,
about
hey,
to fall off from diabetes. So just let the motherfucker have a drink.
Even Norm's like, hey, they're back together. Come on.
Yeah.
Bring back the suds.
Give me that fucking beer. Just bring the bar rag out, Woody. Just give me something. I'm getting the shakes.
And Frasier's like, man, look, this shit ain't official. I have not officially taken you back, bitch. Don't you see? I got a beard. I'm feeling myself now. This is 11th season, Frasier Crane.
I was just about to get into Rebecca's draws. Yeah. I mean, he was inches away. He was in a fucking robe, dude.
And Rebecca comes into the bar looking all disheveled, like she had already taken a ride on the Frasier Crane train. Frasier, Crane.
She saw what she was about to get. She saw the top of Mount Crane, and she didn't know if she could climb it, Steve.
And she's trying to be all explanatory about this whole scenario, man. And Fraser's like, man, you ain't got to explain shit to this broad. Hey, like, we fucking, and if you don't like it, then shit, tough titty.
You want to watch? Okay. But other than that, that's it.
Yeah. And he gets so pissed that him and Sam go into the back, or him and Rebecca go in the back and talk. And then he's like, that bitch.
That's when he starts saying he's going to pop that bitch. I mean, he went like, they took him behind closed doors and he turned into like a fucking pimp.
I am wounded.
This is
like, I should have just popped that bitch a year ago when she said this shit.
And this is in 1993 on NBC, like on primetime television.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I guess a lot of people were just popping abroad for, stepping out of line back then, which...
He's like, that bitch, you think she can just come back into my life and call the shots? That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. And,
this Frasier Crane.
Shortly later, Dr. Louis Pascal came into the bar looking unkept and dusty as fuck. Go, wash your balls, man. And then, he looks like he puts meth in his macaroni.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, is this just like a weed lab that they got in an underground bunker or something? Because he's looking like he's on all types of shit.
So yeah, right. If I was Frasier, I'd be pissed. Like, you left me for this unkept motherfucker.
That's why I wouldn't take her back, Steve. They got a son together, so I get maybe taking her back just for the sake of your family if you want to do that. But once I saw Louis Pascal, no, like, you fucking, this guy looks like he works at Dunkin' Donuts. What the fuck? Like, I'm a fucking psychiatrist, bitch.
Like, if my woman left me for Michael B. Jordan, I'd be like, oh, I get it.
Exactly. I can't, if Chris Hemsworth comes in and takes my wife out of my house, I can't do anything about that other than be like, thank you. Please treat her well, sir. I understand. I
just stopped watching
my wife to you. But,
I just stopped watching Thor movies at that point.
Exactly.
But, hey,
and even then, I get it, man. I got a hot wife. It makes me feel good that you want that. So at the same time, am I a cuck now, Steve? I don't know. What have I just admitted to?
But Dr. Louis Pascal is not a Michael B. Jordan nor a Chris or Liam Hemsworth.
He's like Clint Howard's brother. He's like a lower grade. He's a Wish.com Clint Howard, Steve.
And he just storms into the Cheers bar, sprung off of Lily's tulips. Lily's tulips. And in true Ike Turner style, he's on some, bitch, you coming back with me under the dirt where it's safe. Now, anime, I got the car is turned on and the band outside. We got the band back together now. You embarrassing me now. And she tells him that she's not going back to that life of grime, not with him at least. And I mean, look at you. You look crazy as hell and your dick stank. Wash your balls, Lewis. But he insists that if she doesn't, he'll air this shit out and air this whole establishment out. And even shoot her.
He's got the gat ready to go too.
He pulls that thing out, man. And he's like, man, bitch, I'll shoot you if you don't come with me.
And she's like, shoot me.
This went left real quick. And she calmly tells him, like, hey, I'm not going with you, Lewis. So I guess you'll have to shoot us.
And if I'm anyone else in the bar, I'm saying, hey, Lewis, shoot her. Do not, if you shoot me, you're going to hell. So like, don't do this. Don't. And also, Lilith, again, fuck you for your stink is going all over Boston at this point. You fucked
toxic.
Head up. You fucking the bar up. You're almost fucking Pops is about to get shot in the back or whatever fucking the other guy's name is. I mean, this is insane.
Man, you bringing all this bad energy, this bad juju to the Cheers bar. This is supposed to be a place where everybody knows your name.
Not when they're all shooting flames, Steve. He shoots up. He literally, this woman, this is how cold-blooded she is. She goes, shoot me, and turns her back. And this guy literally, he has no problems pulling the trigger. So you're dealing with the live wire at this point. Like,
that's the ultimate flex, though. Like,
yeah.
like you're not gonna shoot me now. Watch me turn my back on you.
You bitch, shoot me.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna do shit. And then
You
he
ain't gonna
does
do
some
shit.
shit. And here's what's fucked up, Steve. At this point, the owner of whatever these, I guess it's a hotel or a restaurant. I don't know what's above them, but
Yeah, like in the mid seasons, this character comes into play. I don't have his name in front of me, but he opens up a restaurant above the Cheers, and he's served as a good antithesis to the rest of the gang because he's kind of like a Frasier and older guy, and he's more like stiff compared to the guys who are looser, who are like the drunkards.
I hate. Yeah, he's very uppity. So he comes down after the Pascal busts a shot off. You know, and you never really think, oh, what happens to that bullet? Well, this motherfucker shot somebody upstairs. Somebody got shot in the foot.
John Allen Hill, that's his name.
This motherfucker comes down's like, hey guys, this is how low his opinion of Cheers. He's not thinking, wow, maybe they're in trouble. He just comes out and is like, you crazy sons of bitches, stop busting shots up. One of my waiters was shot in the foot. And now that guy also admits to some sort of like a legal alien crime here where he's employing illegal aliens. So that's a fuck up.
Well, his busboy got shot in the foot. Ruben the busboy got shot in the foot, and he's an undocumented alien with no insurance. So that puts John Allen Hill in a bit of a bind. He says
that's fuck. But he doesn't. Well, I guess he can't call 911 because then he's fucked.
So he realizes that, hey, we're all being held hostage. He turns around and sees that crazy Louis Dr. Pascal has a gun, and so Norm's wife calls. And by the way, we never see Norm's wife. It's a running gag throughout the series. We never see her, but she calls and he tells her that they're being held hostage by a mad gunman. And she says that he's used that excuse before.
That's what I'm saying. This motherfucker, why is he still with them? I mean, why is he with this woman? But again, that guy is about to die. So I'm not going to question whatever he's doing.
And crazy Dr. Louis Pascal says he misses Lilith, and so does Dr. Jaworski. And we find out that Dr. Jaworski is just his imaginary friend.
And at this point, if I'm Frasier, I'm like, you know what, Louis, shoot this bitch. He pulls like a fucking Scarface. He's like, you know what, kill this bitch right now. Like I just walk out.
And we also find out. We find out that Louis is claustrophobic, so it makes sense that she doesn't want to be with him in this underground echo pod. And then in comes Paul, and I like Paul. He serves as comic relief. He's a character actor himself, and his real name is Paul, actually. Paul Wilson. Yeah, Paul Wilson.
This guy just has videos on videos of them shitting on him mercilessly throughout the show.
He just walks in.
They bring all these people back on Frasier in one episode. They still shit on Paul decades later. It's crazy.
He walks in just not knowing what's going on. He's like, man, you guys didn't even invite me to the party. You never invite me to the party. He turns around and he sees Louis with his gun. He's like, oh shit. You know, I never fit in with this crowd. This isn't my group of guys anyway, you know. So
what if Pascal just blasts everybody and just leaves Paul, and Paul's just like, hey, I guess I inherit Cheers now.
In the Dear John letter that Frasier thought Lilith wrote, it was actually Pascal who wrote that this whole time.
I don't think that Pascal is capable of that. If he's an insane person with a imaginary friend, claustrophobic in a pod, like I feel like it would be scrawled in like blood or crayon or some shit. You'd know.
Well, Lilith didn't write it, and we find out that not only is Pascal the author of this Dear John letter, but he's not putting that gun down. And Frasier tries to use his psychological skills to connect with Dr. Pascal by relating to his hurt. He shares that same kind of hurt. But Louis is just like, hey, cool story, bro, but I'm still going to shoot somebody in this bitch. And Lilith said, if you're going to shoot anybody, shoot me, said Lilith. And he just couldn't do it. And he's just like, she basically like calls his bluff, like, hey, all right, man, if you're not gonna shoot anybody, just give me the gun. Give me the fucking gun, Trey. Put the gun down and get beat up like a dad used to. And so he gives her the gun and he starts blubbering like a bitch.
I mean, this guy is just a complete chud. Lilith, if I'm Frasier, after this is over, you know, we're gonna talk about how it happens, but me, I'm just like, thank you for saving our lives, but fuck you. Goodbye.
Man, basically.
You know?
Because after that fiasco, she asked for any chance of reconciliation. Frasier tells her no because he can't go through this bullshit again.
Stop fucking with me, Lilith. I mean, Frasier, here's the fucked up thing. If you know Frasier Crane lore, he was left at the altar by Shelley Long, who played another character in this show. So this dude's just been tossed around by the pussy of Boston for years. Now even this weird woman that he's shacked up with, the mother of his son, she's fucking with him. At this point, no wonder he went to Seattle. I would have done the same thing. I would have been like, fuck all y'all. Fuck, I'm out.
Fuck all this Boston shit. I'm going to start a radio show and go back home.
I'm about to just DJ my ass out of Boston. Fuck you. I'll see you when I'm famous, y'all. And hopefully that's how this show ended, but I doubt it. I doubt that's the way they let Frasier go out on this show.
Well, on this episode, it didn't, because when Lilith started blubbering her damn self, he hears her out, and before she leaves, they do reconcile, and, you know, all is well. And Norm says, start pouring, Wood.
Well, that's beautiful. Start pouring, Wood.
You can crawl and climb, you can float through space. Discovery's all. You can swing, you can slide, you can have a blast. You can take it easy or go real fast. Picture yourself bouncing on the moon. It's a great way to play, so you gotta come soon. Discovery Zone, yeah, yeah. It's fun, believable fitness for kids.
Come to our grand opening in Villa Park this Saturday and Sunday. Loads of fun, free prizes, and register to win a free bicycle.
You know who didn't get to see Frasier flex on this episode of Cheers? Kerry Von Erich, because he killed himself on this day, and he was 33 years old. He committed suicide, man. He's better known as the Texas Tornado for the WWF wrestling fans, but he made himself a name with his family, the Von Erich, the famous Von Erich brothers, all throughout the 80s and going into the 90s. And it was started by his father. He had his own federation down there in Texas. Good old Texas.
Salute to Texas Tornado. Not a huge fan, just because his move was essentially him just spinning around and punching a guy, but
the tornado punch.
Yeah, I mean, still though, legit badass of the WWF.
And did you know that he wrestled in the WWF with one leg? He had his leg amputated before he even made it to the WWF.
You're fucking lying to me.
Dude, in 1986, he was in a motorcycle accident that nearly ended his life. He suffered a dislocated hip and badly injured right leg, and doctors were unable to save his right foot, and they eventually amputated it. So
what year was that?
This was in 1986 when he.
So wait, vintage Texas Tornado. You're telling me the Texas Tornado I saw wrestling in the 90s, the whole time he didn't have one leg?
Yeah, he was missing a leg.
Shut the fuck up, Steve. No. I'm not even making this. I'm not trying to like do a bit. You're being serious right now. He had one leg.
Super serious, man.
What the, Steve? I'm calling your bluff on this, guys. Guys, I don't want to like hold up this podcast.
Hey,
but
Kerry Von Erich says it's no cap.
I'm typing into Google. This is one search. Text. Oh my God. This has to be true.
No fake news.
God. Oh, it was his. Okay, it was his foot.
It was his foot, but, but he had a prosthetic.
Okay, but I still incredible. I pictured more of like the whole leg or like his up from his knee down type shit. Still though, that's insane. You would never. No wonder that was what his move was. That's probably all he could do.
Yeah, you couldn't be that mobile at this point.
That's nuts. I never knew that at all.
The story of the Von Erich family in general is pretty tragic, man. They all, for the most part, they died tragic lives. One of them died from some unknown illness. A couple of them committed suicide, him being one of them. There's one surviving brother, and he was actually elected into the WWE Hall of Fame a couple years ago.
That's crazy, though. I mean, I didn't remember he killed himself. I knew he was dead, but damn, what an extra layer of depth to that guy. Because I knew he was of that family. That was like they would name them and stuff whenever you would watch. You know, the Gorilla Monsoon would just bring it up and shit. But man, I did not know he didn't have a fucking foot. What a crazy thing to have to get through as a wrestler and still be a badass. Like he was a famous fucking wrestler in the 90s. I mean, he was in the Royal Rumbles and shit.
He was an Intercontinental Champion.
Motherfucker was a beast. Salute to fucking Texas Tornado. What's his name again?
Kerry Von Erich.
Kerry Von Erich. You fucking legend, dude. Salute to you.
Now, in 1994, on February 18, the film Blue Chips is released in theaters, starring Nick Nolte and Shaquille O'Neal.
God, I feel like this doesn't get enough play as a great sports movie. I like this movie. I was all in on Shaq from day one. This is how into Shaq I was, Steve. My mom went to an Avon party. Avon is like shit that they like women sell to each other. This company had a Shaq hype tape from like his rookie year. I hope I still can find this. It might be worth some money. And it literally just followed a young Shaq through like his life in Louisiana and shit, like before he got drafted, like showing him eat like crazy sandwiches this town made for him, like in his name when he got famous. But all in on Shaq and all in on this movie, because this also had Penny Hardaway in it too, right?
It was a young Anthony Hardaway, a appearance from Calbert Cheaney, who was also in the NBA at the time. There was Bobby Knight. There was, I believe, Rick Pitino, Bob Cousy, old-time Boston Celtic. He was in the movie. So it had some features.
This was like a PG level He Got Game. Remember that Spike Lee movie with Denzel and Ray Allen?
Most definitely.
This is like a PG version of that, but also this movie was cool because it was like you saw the process of a guy getting recruited, which I think is cool in sports movies when they show like the true shit about that. And also what I do love about this movie is that you get a vintage Nick Nolte where he's not all fucked up on drugs, or not visibly fucked up on drugs when they took the photos of him.
Yeah, this was way before that. He was coherent throughout.
Yeah, this is like 48 hours Nick Nolte, where he was still like, you know, you could take him out to dinner and not expect to be maybe arrested or watch him getting arrested because he went into like a meth freak out. So salute to Nick. We love you, but you're like, I don't really remember much of the movie other than I love it and what I just detailed. Like I couldn't tell you how it ends.
Like you said, it shows you the underside, the underworld of this recruiting process, the things that you don't see, or at the time you didn't see on ESPN or any of that stuff, man. So salute to Nick Nolte, the big Aristotle, Shaquille O'Neal, Anthony Hardaway. I was a huge Penny fan. He was my next in line.
I love this whole, like the Orlando Magic team in general. When Shaq went there, like Penny Hardaway, Scott Skiles, him, the other guy, I can't remember the other guys at this moment, but that
Horace
team,
Grant.
Yeah, Hojo was in there for a while. There was a guy like Derek something. I feel like somebody, there was like a spot up shooter. I can't remember.
Dennis Scott.
Dennis Scott. There you go.
Yeah.
So like that team, that was when my NBA fandom was at its. I mean, I always loved Michael Jordan and shit, but for some reason, I just love fucking Shaq because he was so.
Yeah.
Like those early, like they showed all those highlights of him like breaking rims and doing all these crazy athletic shits as a center that you just never saw. I mean, he was a bigger, like Zion Williams is sort of like somebody you can sort of point to now where, you know, he's just like this huge body and it doesn't seem like it's possible that he can do all those things. Shaq was like the first guy that I remember that was like that, you know, and
that was just the dominant force.
Yeah, just a beast. Also, I'm gonna find that Avon Shaq tape and I'm gonna get that out. I'm gonna send that to you, Steve. I don't even know how to watch it. I don't even have a fucking VCR.
Never fake a funk on a nasty dunk, though. Now,
Dude,
in on
Shaq
February
Diesel. Make him
on,
shiver. Make him shiver.
on February 18th, 1995, Saturday Night Live airs the episode with musical guest Bon Jovi and your host, Deion Sanders.
Neon Dion on SNL. See, this was when they would put, there was some good athlete SNL hosts. Like Wayne Gretzky had an SNL episode that was great.
I remember that.
Michael Jordan did, yeah. And yeah, he
there
was
a
on
Hulk
like,
Hogan.
Was Hogan on it?
Hogan and Mr. T co-hosted in the 80s.
Oh wow. I need to go. I don't know if I even saw that. That's dope. I don't know that one.
But this episode or this season was considered one of the worst. It was Chris Farley and Adam Sandler's last season, and at this point the jokes and the skits were starting to become sophomoric, all those things that we love them for. And this is still David Spade is a part of this cast. This is also the one season Chris Elliott is a part of the cast, and he has
there you go.
I feel like his input had a little bit to do with some of the quirkier, like out there bizarre segments, because that's his style of humor. It had some hits, but this season overall, there was a lot of awkward silence, and it was painful to watch those later episodes of this season because Chris Farley, his pop wasn't as great as it was when he first hit it big. Some of the things you kind of sense that the audience was like, all right, we're onto your shtick. You're the fat kid that falls over things and you're obnoxious. And people were still laughing, but they just weren't as responsive.
Yeah, I don't know. That's like a personal hero of mine. So like when I was a kid, that was my guy, I think that was for a lot of people our age. And it is kind of weird. Like I don't really ever remember him falling off. I just remember him making me laugh his whole life, in my whole life up until he died. But yeah, I mean, if you know what went on in his life and shit, it's not really surprising that near the end of his career in general, just like obviously in SNL, it's crazy to me to think that a guy that had that many personal problems and like drug problems could make it through how rigorous SNL sounds behind the scenes. I realized that he kind of was his own thing, and then they basically just plugged him into shit, but he still had to do it, and he was really good at being in those sketches. And but to think that he was dealing with all those drug problems and personal issues, and just being a fat dude like that, like getting older and all the problems you have just as a result of that, it's yeah, man. I mean, but what a funny dude, man. Everybody you ever hear talk about that guy, that's a guy I wish I could have like met in some way in real life, because it just sounds like being around him, you could tell like he was a different level of funny, and everyone just loved being around him.
No doubt, man. Now, you know who didn't watch this episode of Saturday Night Live with musical guest Bon Jovi and hosted by Deion Sanders? Eddie Gilbert, because he was busy dying at the age of 33 as well.
Eddie.
Yeah, hot stuff Eddie Gilbert, they call him. And he was a wrestler in different territories, predominantly in the Memphis territory, where Jerry Lawler was making his name. And also he was in the early stages of ECW. He was one of the top heels of the time in the you could say fetal stages of ECW. And he died of a heart attack.
Now, I can't picture this guy, so I can't really attest to what this guy, but how much, what is the death rate of wrestlers once they get into their 30s in the 90s? It just seems like you got to a certain age and it was just a matter of time, basically.
Well, I always tell people, man, they live harder lifestyles than rock stars, man, because not only are they taking these pills and these painkillers to continue doing their job, they also have to put their bodies through this painful process on a nightly basis, man, and go to the next town and repeat.
Yeah, and they don't give a fuck if you're hurt. It's seemed to be like if you weren't getting out there, unless you were dying or some shit, or you just broke your shit to the point you couldn't be out there, they expected you to go out. So it was take this shot or take this pill, and a lot of the guys also, they're drinking booze all the time and shit, or doing other drugs. So it's just, it'd be crazy somehow if you could get the real, hear those kind of stories. Which not
cycle,
necessarily, you know, you kind of get it with like Jake the Snake, but those are like the extreme cases where they just couldn't get out of, like him and Scott Hall and shit, where, you know, fucking they had Scott Hall, they had to build it into his character in WCW, where it's like, this motherfucker can't stop drinking, so we're just going to make him an alcoholic on the show. And I guess that's what he's going to be now. Drink on, Scott. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that was classless on their part, man.
Yeah, I mean, I would never, when I was that age watching it, I was pissed because Scott Hall is like my favorite wrestler. I just thought he was funny and cool. I don't know why, but he just was my guy.
Hey, yo.
When they did that, I was like, why would they do this? Like, why would they make this character do this? This sucks. This is a shitty use of Scott Hall. But I guess it was like, either do this or you're out.
The forces of Wolfpack had ruled too long. Only one could stop this tyranny, the Lego Maniac.
Forsooth, it is I! Set sail, mighty Black Knights! Enlighten these dark age dudes! Be not spooked by ghostly power. We return victorious! Take your prisoners to the most gnarly dungeon. Yes!
A new day dawned, but only the Lego Maniac knew what night would bring.
Most hauntingly put.
The Lego System Castle Collection. Each sold separately, only from Lego.
Now, on February 18th, 1997, the show Frasier is in season 4, and they're airing the episode 4 for the Seesaw. Frasier and Niles on a whim share a table at Cafe Nervosa with 2 attractive women, which develops into a double date and then a weekend getaway to the country.
I mean, this just shows you, one, that Frasier never stopped getting that swag on, because it just happens. You're Frasier Crane. You're moments away from a potential hookup, apparently.
I got to drag my drip to Seattle.
I mean, he took it there. I love this episode because also it shows you another aspect. Like what I like the show Frasier. I've said it before. I'm going to continue saying it, but I think it's a funny character to have a guy who's a respected psychiatrist. Him and his brother are quote unquote respected psychiatrists in the field in general. Frasier's a Harvard grad, but they can give out the best advice, but they have the shittiest love and personal life because they're not practicing what they preach, you know? And I always thought that was kind of a funny aspect. Like all of Frasier's problems are things that he would talk his patients out of in a session, but he can't ever get over the same shit. He's basically the same thing that happened to him the last time happens to him in this time. He fucks a hookup up.
They fuck up quite a few hookups throughout this series, man. And even though they're respected psychiatrists and they're very intelligent guys, at the end of the day, they're men. And men, for the most part, we're idiots. And we can be oblivious to the most obvious things. She could flash her titties right in front of you and say, like, enter here. And you'd be like, oh, well, what's that all about, man? She's probably...
I don't know if she wants me or not. Like, are we friends?
Like, so, like, are you feeling me or not? Just, like, come out and say it. Like, and that's exactly what's happening in this episode.
I just think also that the idea, I don't have a brother. I've never had a brother. If I'm trying to get laid, I don't want my brother. If I had a brother, I wouldn't want him anywhere near me at all. I wouldn't want to be doing this, a family pickup sesh. I guess opportunity arises, and that's kind of the tagline that Frasier's trying to help Niles out. Because Niles is always in this show in the midst of a divorce or a separation with his wife Maris, who is like George Wendt's character wife in
we never see Maris.
We never see her ever. She's alluded to, she's hidden by things in the show, but you never see Maris once. They just have these crazy descriptions of this wayfish skinny white woman that sounds like Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City or something, and you just never see her. But in this episode, you know, Niles he's a very timid guy. He's very nervous. And, you know, Frasier and him take opportunity. They sit with these 2 young ladies, one of which I believe is the lady from Will and Grace.
Megan Mullally. She's there. And they hit it off. You know, everything, they're 2 men about town.
And Megan Mullally's all about Niles Crane. She's so into him. She's about to just jump his bones right there. So I just love it. I've had this happen before where you like meet somebody. I've never really approached women like that where you're just like, hey, can I sit next to you in like a coffee shop and like hit it off to this extent? But I love the energy. I wish I had this Frasier Crane energy back in the day because fascinating.
Like you said, you don't have a brother, so Frasier, he's the big bro. He's got that big brother energy, man. And I've never done this with my brother, but I've heard of instances where it's like, yeah, man, like I used to kick it with my brother. I used to always want to hang out with him. He always had the hose, man. Sometimes he throws some hose my way, and this is kind of the deal. He's like, man, I'm the big bro, so I got to teach you some game. I know you're intelligent, but you like, and we're both kind of game goofy, but I got a little bit more know-how. I picked up some things along the way in Boston. I didn't hit some snags along my path, man. But because of that, I've lived and learned. I've learned some things in life. I've experienced life. So I know a little bit more about these bitches.
Plus, I mean, here's the real deal, guys. Let's look at Niles and Frasier Crane. These are two, millionaire men in a big city. They immediately take these women on a date. They go to the Seattle Rep, which I'm assuming is some sort of opera or something. They take them out to a fine dinner. They take them home. They shower them with like this amazing apartment and just some wine at the house. I mean, who wouldn't want to go out on another date with these guys? Or obviously this leads to something else that we're going to get to, but they're just knocking it out of the park. And this is also a funny thing that happens. This has happened to me where you're doing everything right. You go on that first date, it goes great. You just keep, it's just like, it seems like an inevitability that it's like, this is going to happen. I'm killing this. I've hit every softball question out of the park. I'm doing my best here. And then
I was prepared.
You fuck it up. There's something happens. You just like, by no fault of your own, if something happens, you get too excited and you fuck it up. You saw the pass, it was right there, it was coming into your hands, and it bounced off your chest, and you walk away, no pussy, nothing. And that's what I love about this episode, because I sympathize with that.
It's happened, man. And I live by this adage. I've been saying this for years. You can never talk your way in the pussy. You can only talk your way out.
Oh,
there's nothing you can say to change. If she doesn't want to fuck you upon appearance, there's no magic word, no magic phrase you're gonna say. Her mind's made up. She might entertain your conversation, but she knows who she's going to fuck and who she's not going to fuck.
Oh,
now,
on
the flip side, on the flip side, you come into a scene, you come into a bar or a Cafe Nervosa, and she likes you from appearance, like, okay. At that point, it could only go downhill, because like if you say something that's stupid or doesn't make sense, or just something that affects her some kind of way, all right, she's dried up now.
It's like a comedy club audience. You could be going for like 5 minutes, and then like you say one thing or like breathe weird, and then it's over with. It's just like they smell weakness, and once they smell it, the sharks go to a different area. So I've been there, Steve. I've been on great dates that went like, I met my wife, and we hit it off, and it's just like you said, we were physically attracted to each other. There were no second dates. I'll be fully honest. We smashed on the first date, and now we're in love. So, to your credit, you're right. And I can't really think of a time. It's always like initial attraction first. So you're right. What you just said, can we get a book deal? Can somebody hit us up? Can somebody at Loveline get this man a show? This is the tagline of your new book, Steve. Like, you're gonna be like, what's that guy? Oh fuck, I can't remember, Creflo Dollar or whatever. You need to have some personality like that, and that's your thing. It's like, have you ever seen the movie Magnolia with Tom Cruise?
Oh, I have.
The Power of the Penis. This is your power of the penis, Steve. This is your like advice in life that's going to make you trillions of dollars. So just TM that. That's a trademark, Steve. I'm saving you some lawyer fees. So just save that, keep it in the back pocket.
I'm the new Steve Harvey.
You are. I mean, right now, I can't like even, I was going to pick apart what you said, but I can't. It's infallible
Think like a man.
logic, so.
Think like a man, act like a bitch by Steve Garrett.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Hold up now. I'm from Cleveland now. You like my mustache?
Steve, I mean, all you got to do is shave a little bit. You're right there. I mean, we can just get you right in there.
Hold up now. I'm from Cleveland. I don't understand none of that.
All you got to do is look at the camera, Steve. Somebody's going to say something about like putting their penis someplace it doesn't belong. And you're just going to be like,
hold up, player. Now, Niles and Frasier, they're at their hangout spot, Cafe Nervosa. They can't find a seat, and they run into these ladies. And, you know, like you said, more so Frasier, he's the assertive one in this scenario. And he's like, hey, we don't have any other place to sit. Let's just sit with these chicks over here. And Niles is like, we can't sit with strange women. Frasier says, why not? We married strange women. And when they get there, the women are super chill and welcoming. It's Beth and Laura. And they design kitchens, and they are just filling Niles and Frasier.
Everything they have, and they're like, I mean, it's just it's a softball, Steve. It's knock it out of the park. What do you guys do for a living? Oh, we design kitchens, but you guys don't want to hear about that. No men want to hear about design kitchen. And what does Frasier do? Grand slam, Babe Ruth's that bitch out. And these women, I mean, you say Frasier's the dominant one, and he is. But Megan Mullally, who is Niles,
she is on it.
She's literally like, you're funny. Like when you get I'd be like, Frasier, we're gonna go. Hey, let's go over to my place, because when you said the physical attractions there, that's when you know it's all in alignment. When she looks at you and goes, you're funny. Like it's about to happen, Steve.
That's if you're not game goofy and you're not blind to the signs. I'm guilty of it.
37-year-old me saying that. 20-year-old me would be like, I need more. I'm just gonna ask her. And then it gets weird, and then it's over. Then the magic.
Dude, this was me in Perrysburg. When any of those white girls would show me any attention, like Megan Mullally, like, oh my God, you're so funny. Oh my God. And in my own head, I'd be like, oh my God, do their parents care if she dates a black dude? Like, I might get shot.
Steve, no.
Does she really like me?
You probably smart to do that, though, because honestly,
it's Perrysburg, Ohio in the 90s.
You're probably on. But to me, though, looking at you, especially in high school, I would have assumed, and I did assume, quite honestly, that you were I thought it was a kid in a candy store, because
dude,
you were the one. Like there was a school full of Jason Piners, or I'm sorry, I'll bleep that name. School full of the same white guy, and then Steve walks in looking handsome as hell. I assumed you were just slaying everybody. But dude, I guess not, and that for good reason.
In hindsight, I should have. I think I was watching this show, and that's why I was saying earlier, man, about like, dude, even though you can be an intelligent person, whatever, like at the end of the day, like not just even for men, for women too, we have our own internal dialogues where we talk ourselves out of some pussy, where we talk ourselves out of a good situation. And in hindsight, because of those scenarios, like, oh man, like, dude, does she really like me, man? Are my ears too big, man? Like, man, I got this
when
bump.
You're a kid, dude. I was a fat dude, so like I had the added thing of like, no, she ain't gonna want to be with a fat guy. But honestly, even like that, looking back, there were plenty. It's like you just have to. It's like hard. I hate advice when you hear like the shit that you ignored as a kid. That if you listen to it and really took it into consideration, your life would have been like 100%, like 1,000,000% better. Like shit like that, where it's like just be yourself.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, it's like I can't be myself. I am a piece of shit. I have to like shine up this turd a little bit. And I mean, it's funny, man. That is a funny thing to look at. It's just look in hindsight, not like how many chicks could you smash, but just like opportunities you lost out of because you pussied out, you know?
For real, like you took yourself out the game. You didn't even compete. You just sat yourself on the bench.
I mean, when I lost weight, dude, I had chicks tell me straight up. They were like, I wish you would have said something like wherever. It's like, I didn't even know. And I was like, well, they're saying that because I just lost weight, you know, but even if they, you know, if they were being true, it's like, damn, I guess, you know, and I've even, when I was like dating in LA and stuff as an older guy, it's just hard, man. That shit is, it's just like a crazy thing that until you're out of that like dating scene, you can't figure it out because you're like constantly you have to be reminded of it all the time. I'm a bitch, dude. I'm shy, so
me too.
I can't.
And it's a rat race, man. That's why I tell all my married homies, you're not missing shit. It's stale out here, and it's so cold.
No, I know that.
Egg.
I'm so happy in dating, dude. I do not miss that at all. I mean, I don't know what it's like now, but dating in LA at all that's where I've done that in Florida is where I've dated the majority of women, and it's until I met my wife, it was a bit dicey. Let's just put it like that. So
we should have been assertive like Frasier Crane. Frasier Crane. So he's like him and Niles, they have a heart-to-heart like, hey man, let's chop it up for a minute. So like what do you think we should ask these girls out for a date, huh? And he's like, man, I don't know, man. We should. And he's like, dude, so we should go out with them a couple more times and then ask them out for a date.
Yeah.
Like, stop being such a wuss, man.
Basically Frasier's just like, stop being a bitch. Come on.
Stop being a bitch. He's said this to Niles so many times throughout this episode in so many different ways.
It's so easy. Like, and I'd be like,
ass.
Look at what this woman's, do you see how she's acting? Come on. What do I got to do, man? Do I got to like fucking air traffic control you into it? Do I got to like place you into her when you're having sex? I mean, jeez. Niles is the ultimate, he's what we're talking about. Whatever that insecurity is, he's 100% like the manifestation of that. And Frasier's just like, come on. I'm going to fucking slap you until you fucking realize.
Dude, I'm giving out tickets to this Niles and Frasier Crane gangbang train. Choo choo, all aboard.
You're a VIP. You're in.
You're just sitting there at the depot, like,
And I gotta say, Megan Mullally, she's a fox, dude.
She does it for me. I was going to say that too, and I like the fact that, like, look at her hair. I like that shit. I like it's more so her energy and that voice shit.
Dude. The voice, I'm telling you, that voice.
Oh my God.
Nick Offerman, I guarantee that's just a crazy. I bet that can like flip to freak real quick.
Dude, you know? Oh, Nick Offerman, I pop my collar to you, sir. I hope you are having a blast.
But she's fucking funny as shit. Like, what a cool chick, you know?
Oh my God, you're so funny. Oh my God,
funny.
Do that thing you do on Parks and Rec. Oh my God,
your mustache is really thick.
Man. Megan Mullally.
I mean, but you know, I just got to say also, the Crane boys, this could have been 100% success. You know, the possibility, like the best result that could have come from all of what this episode, I mean, it's got to be soul crushing when that doesn't come out, because it's like we were right there, man. Come on.
Everything was just bad. The batting average was 100,000, bro. And
like if it's a friend and he fucks up getting laid for you, like cock blocks you, that you can like go off on him a little. Maybe you don't hang out for a while, but this is like your brother. It's like, man, God, come on, man. Because Frasier's he's in a rut. That's another thing. He's said it in the episode. He's like, it's been a while. Okay.
Yeah. We need to get my funky off.
We need to fucking dust these dicks off and get these fucking motors running again.
Now we got to get back in these streets, player. Everything is like working dope, man, because They actually invite the ladies back to the Spizzot. This is after they took them to a play. They then took them out to eat, wined and dined them, took them back to the spot. Even their dad, Martin, even he likes the girls. And he's like, man, I haven't said that shit in a while.
Yeah.
I ain't like none of these heifers
They
in
like,
here.
You always wish the best for your kids, you know?
Yeah, man.
I would have been so proud too. It's like, man, he's my favorite character in Frasier. That Martin is he's one of the funniest characters in it. That's one of the main ones. And yeah, you know, like he left and went into his room and was like, I did a good job. I did a good ass job with my kids.
Yeah, that's my boys. Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, I mean, look at that apartment. Like, to me, that's what I've met a lot of rich kids in my life where it's like, you have the ultimate trump card. I'm sorry to use that word, like phrase, but you have the ultimate ace in the hole where if they like you enough to go back to your house and then you show them this magnificent apartment, to me, an orgy just breaks out right then and there. You know,
I mean, Frasier gets it. Frasier clearly gets it. It's Niles who can't get his head out of his ass and Maris out of his head. Maris is living rent free in Niles' cranium.
And she won't get out. They need to exercise those demons, and usually that's by hitting the smash button. But from Niles, I mean, he just, you know, he's a good man, Steve. He's never been put in this situation where, you know, he's got a tasty treat waiting to be picked off that tree.
And luckily he has Big Bro to guide him or attempt to guide him through this process. He even sets it up to where they got the ladies coming with them to the cabin for the weekend.
That's his dad. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Martin Crane comes in. He's like, hey guys, I was supposed to go on this romantic vacation, but we got this cabin. We're not going to go anymore. So here you go. And Frasier Crane takes the handoff. Fucking Bo Jackson's his way into the end zone and just says, you know what, ladies? Why don't we all just go up to that cabin together and stay warm under those blankets in the snow?
You know?
I mean, and these ladies, to their credit, go, we love that. So where's the question? That's the joke that keeps happening. And in my mind, it's almost, you can't fuck this up. Like, to me, I would not have bothered with all the shit that they did at the beginning. I'd be like, look, we're gonna hang out separately. You're gonna hang out with your chick. I'm gonna hang out with mine. We're gonna separate. And I would just sort of, you know, they all want to fuck each other. I would just do my best to encourage that separately and not get into like this double date situation where, honestly, that's the other thing I wanted to bring up, where they go to the cabin, right? You're with your brother. You're with Niles Crane. You're Frasier Crane. You're going to be, if everything goes correctly, this is basically a gang. This is an orgy. Like, I guess they're in separate rooms, but you're going to hear your brother bust. And if you're telling me Frasier Crane doesn't have some sort of loud, very boisterous fucking
guttural
bust, you're lying to yourself. So I would be a little uncomfortable with that. But that being said, again, this is a home run situation that has been completely foibled by the Crane brothers. They both fuck it up.
Shortly after they get to the cabin, the ladies say, oh, we're going to have to make our own entertainment. Ooh, intersexual innuendos. And
they didn't need a lot of clothes, Steve. That's what they said. We didn't think we'd need a lot of clothes.
Yeah. They also, they said we don't think we needed a lot of clothes for the weekend. And Beth is like, why don't we open some wine and watch the sunset?
Steve, let me put it to you like this. Let's say I'm single, okay? You and me go out to Starbucks in Atlanta. We're sitting there, there's no seats, and we do this exact thing. If we go to the cabin with two ladies, I'm going to look at you and I'm going to go, look, man, this is happening. There's not going to be any of these questions. Let's party and let's get this done. There's too much fucking around here. They lose focus. And
Enough
again,
shenanigans.
Like they're trained psychiatrists. They even make fun of the fact that they're like, isn't this a little unfair that we're psychiatrists? Like, you know, that they're manipulating the situation. And Frasier, just, he was right there. Niles was never going to get pussy. Let's be honest. But Frasier, he could have had it all.
And Frasier says, man, he's had enough with the cryptic messages. He can't take it anymore with enough beating around the bush when he could be beating some puss. And can they just give us a clear signal? Lord, give me a sign. Word to DMX. And so here comes Beth right after he says this. Well, I'm off to bed. Niles, are you coming? But Niles is so lost in the fucking sauce. Luckily, he had big bro Frasier Crane to help him connect the obvious dots.
I mean, she says that and he goes, damn these infernal riddles. He just can't. That's what that pussy does to you guys. Ladies, if you're listening, if you're thinking a guy that you like is acting weird, he's caught in the headlights. He just has, and this is what's the Niles' problem. It's all happening and it's so thrilling. He just can't process what's going on. He's locked up. And Maris is still occupying a heavy amount of real estate in his mind. And this, can you tell the people at home what this dumbass does? Like, he's literally about to round the bases. He's about to slide into home. What does he do?
He answers his phone. And who's calling him? His wife, Maris.
No, he doesn't even answer his phone first. He calls the bitch.
Oh, he called her.
Hey, can we smash?
Right.
I don't, like, he checks the details of their separation. And at first Maris is like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
You got the
He
go
wants
ahead.
to know the parameters.
Here's what I do. Great. Turn the phone off. Smash.
Instant
repeat, you know, over and over again. But no, this guy goes, he's about to go in. But then what happens? His phone rings. And he answers it. And it's Maris. And now she's throwing a wrench into the pussy getting machine. And Niles, F1 Ferrari, rounding the last turn to the finish line, just hits a bump, flips, and bursts into flames. His chance of getting pussy just it just is over at this point.
Man, Vince Neil's a better race car driver. Niles.
Yeah. Vince Neil would have been in the room. He would have had his dick out when they walked into the cabin. Like, they wouldn't have gone to dinner. Dinner's his hog. And that's how that goes. And I mean, I guess salute to Vince Neil. I don't know what we're applauding here, but you know, again, Niles he's too concerned with Maris. I will say that as a man his wife is rich. Maris is rich. He's married into money in a way. He is a successful man, but now he's used to a bigger, a higher ceiling because he's connected to Maris's money. And I think that if, that's a concern. So maybe it's a financial thing. Maybe he's thinking, I gotta pull, what was Britney Spears' husband's name that got all that money scot-free? Remember?
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy's name, but one of those things where he's just like, I can't fuck this up right now. So maybe there's some of that coming into play, but Niles is about to go. Niles and Frasier both separate. They go into their specific rooms. Then Niles keeps accepting these phone calls and knocking on the door and cock blocking his brother. So Maris is cock blocking two brothers at this point. And it keeps going. And then Steve, it happens that, Frasier is just like, okay, like, you're good. Go get some pussy. But
like,
then
you're tripping, bro.
He literally unleashes one of the greatest lines in this show where finally, after a couple of phone calls, he looks at Niles because, I assume he's like half hard at this point. He's, trying to get in the mood. Niles keeps fucking up the vibe, and he grabs Niles and he goes,
Don't think about today, don't think about what's right. Don't even think of them as Laura and Beth for tonight. They are just two live, breathing, available female bodies who want us.
Think again.
I feel like maybe they took it like really. I get being sort of flabbergasted that he said it, but if you could just explain what is happening, I feel like they could have saved the situation. But at this point, Laura and Beth hear Frasier go off. They go, "Oh, really?" And then they just fucking say, they close the doors to Pussies Are Us, and it's business is closed. I mean, and as a guy who thought he was going to get laid, and then at the end of the night, you're pulling your own dick on the couch, crying or whatever.
Man,
I've been there. I feel for them. But as Frasier, if I was Frasier in this situation, Niles is going to, I mean, something. I'm going to beat him. There's going to be a punch, something.
Well, what does he do? He throws his brother out. He just like he threw that phone out. He threw his brother out the door. Like, dude, your ex-wife is ruining my sex life. I mean, that's what he said.
What was the drive like back after this? You know?
Oh man, yeah, that part.
They went off to the country. I mean, I'm assuming it's probably like an hour drive, you know, out into the wilderness, maybe. So they had to get into a car the next day, face these two women who a night previous they were about to sex. And now it's just silence, sadness, desperation, probably. You know, Frasier's probably trying to say something.
So, kitchens, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, need those kitchens in the house.
No, you wouldn't even say it. Would just be a bunch of your mumble was perfect. That's it. That's all it was. And then Niles maybe crying a little bit in the back, something. But
man, you know, it's never fun when the homies can't have none, but it's definitely never fun if no one can't have none.
No, the pussy. I mean, I feel so badly for these two guys. So Frasier and Niles, will they ever get laid? Yes. But did they get laid in this instance? Absolutely not.
No, he ended up sleeping on the couch in his boxers with Niles sleeping on the floor.
You know, we beat off on the couch silently that night because, I mean, he had to hammer one out just to get the demons out. So,
and February 18, 1997 was not the day for Niles or Frasier Crane.
I think it's about time you got a new bike. Hey, bikes cost money. You know, you could get a job after school. A job? You must be joking. You could do yard work for Mr. O'Brien. Yeah, I'm kind of allergic to raking. There's got to be somewhere you can make money.
Hey, guy, is this your bike?
Maybe.
Oh, it's a classic.
It is?
Yeah, it's worth a lot of money.
It is? Hey, I got it. You can sell your bike. I could never do that. Why not? It's a classic.
And it wasn't the day in 1998, February 18th, for the one and only Harry Carey, because he kind of died.
Sure as God made green apples, someday the Chicago Cubs are going to be in the World Series, and maybe sooner than we think.
That guy was wild. That was a bygone. Like, are there any famous announcers now?
Who do we have still left? Oh, we who's the Dodgers guy? He's like 90 something.
Is Bob Uecker still alive? Because he was
Bob Uecker. That's true. Who's the guy I'm trying to think of? He talks like this. He's the longtime announcer for the Dodgers.
I don't know. I should know that, but I don't know.
You know? Oh, dude, he just
Hold on,
retired.
I'll look it up. We got technology. Oh, Vin Scully.
And now it's time for Dodgers baseball.
Hey!
Hi, Doctor. Have you ever seen an eclipse?
Oh, yeah, I've seen many, yes.
You know, if you stare at it head on, it'll burn your eyes out.
Well, it's not best to stare at the sun during an eclipse, you know.
But it's hard not to. I once took a pair of binoculars and stared at the sun for over an hour.
He was a journeyman, actually, man. He had been in the game for a minute. He was not just a Cubs announcer. He was a announcer for a couple teams, I believe.
So he was just like a Ronin announcer that would just come in and just kill it. Also, respect to those big glasses.
Yeah.
Someday I'm gonna wear glasses like that. I'm gonna love my life. That's when you like know. That's when you can see.
When you reach Larry King status.
Yeah, like when you know everything, that's when you get those glasses. When it's like I have nothing left to prove. Here we go.
I know enough things.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to attempt to do a Harry Carey. I haven't seen that.
All I
skit
can
in
do is
forever.
go, hi. That's it. That's as robust of a Harry Carey impression as I can do. So
All of these things happened in the 90s, man. Any takeaways for you, Matthew?
just that Frasier's a great show. We're gonna have to watch more of it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of it because to me it is a great sitcom. It demands some part of the Hall of Fame of sitcoms. And Frasier Crane, gotta say, what a fucking insane character. This character existed on television for over 2 decades, I think, when it was all said and done. So, I mean, hopefully there were nights where Frasier got to sex many women. I wish that for him. I wish that for Kelsey Grammer. I wish that for David Hyde Pierce, even though he wouldn't be into it. And I think that what we saw today was just the magnificence that is Frasier Crane, the character, Steve. Salute.
My takeaway is that you never see Vince Neil, Vince Young, Doc Brown, Mac Brown, and Neil Young all in the same room. You're never going to see them at the same time, ever.
It's like, you know, in I Dream of Jeannie, there's like Dick Sargent, Dick York, and then the character's name is Sergeant York, I think. So it's like one of those crazy. I think we stumbled on like a Matrix thing here where we might be about to be like taken out of the simulation, Steve. I don't know. I'm scared. Because now I'm really thinking like Vince Young, like that came out of my mouth, but I don't know where that came from.
Pretty good. Pretty good. I'll smoke a bag of that.
But I mean, now I'm scared, Steve. We stumbled on a mystery, and I'm just gonna have to piece my life together after this episode, I think.
Hey man, I've heard some things. I've heard some things. Now, where can they catch you next on Ain't Life Funny, young Matthew?
Well, we're like doing releases at random times now. We're not really going into any sort of patent schedule like this podcast. We're doing a lot to be a professional on Happened in the 90s, Steve. But as I've said in the past, Ain't Life Funny is just more of a dual therapy session. So we just keep putting podcasts out whenever we're just, you know, in the mood to, but check it out. We've had some good episodes. We'll continue to put them out. That's Ain't Life Funny with me and Aaron. And then Steve, I know over the culture, it hasn't, you know, this is an artistic endeavor that you go through every week. And I gotta say, I applaud your professionalism and I love your show, and tell everybody where they can find that.
It takes a team, man. Well, Over the Culture, you catch us every Sunday, or me every Sunday, where we talk about music, sports entertainment, movies, TV shows, and somebody's mommy. And this has happened in the 90s.
The salads and scrambled eggs.